What's your name and what do you do?
So my name is Heidi and I am a teacher at Renison University College.
Okay, thank you. What are the main qualities of a good citizen in Canada?
I think the main qualities of a good citizen of Canada include things like being very open-minded, so being very tolerant of other people's opinions and choices, and being very accepting of all the different cultures that live here in Canada.
Okay. How do people exercise their citizenship here in Canada?
Well, everyone in Canada has the right to vote for the government, so that is something that they do to exercise their citizenship. I think Canada has a great system where anybody can talk about the things that concern them with any of the municipal or federal or provincial politicians, and they can help to shape the way the government works just by voicing their opinions.
Okay. How many parties are there in Canada?
Most people would say that there are three main political parties. So there's the Conservatives, the Liberals, the New Democratic Party, which is known by their sort of acronym, the NDP. There is also a couple of other parties. There's one party in Quebec that's called the Parti Québécois. They're only in Quebec. They're a French-speaking party. And there is the Green Party, which is like a relatively new party, and they're just sort of gaining some popularity. So they're becoming one of the major parties too. But there's just the three main parties: Conservative, Liberal, and NDP.
Okay. What are they called?
Yeah, so Conservative, Liberal, and NDP, yeah.
Okay. How long are the election terms in Canada?
So every 4 years, Canadians have an election. So we get a chance to decide whether or not we want a new government or a new prime minister every 4 years, and that's a law. So that happens always. Sometimes it happens sooner. So if there's something that causes the government to change in some way, if the prime minister resigns or something like that, then we would have an election sooner. But legally, we have to have one every 4 years.
Okay. What are the political ideology of each of the parties?
So I'll talk about four of the parties. So first I'll talk about the Conservative Party. So the Conservative Party is what we would call the right party. So that means that they have more traditional values. They believe in things like religion. They believe in low taxes for corporations. And they believe in sort of old-fashioned values, I guess is maybe the way to put it. They are less likely to welcome immigrants. They are less flexible with things like alternative lifestyles, like LGBTQ lifestyles. They don't really have a good advocate for that. They're a little bit more rigid, I guess. Then there's the Liberal Party, and they are traditionally what we call the left party or the center-left party. And they have kind of more free attitudes towards LGBTQ communities. They're very concerned with how the people live their lives. So they're supportive of social programs. They are very careful about all the multiculturalism in Canada. They're very encouraging of it. And they're very encouraging of maybe finding equality amongst everyone. So whether you're an immigrant or a female or a male, sort of everybody's on the same playing field. The NDP party is the New Democratic Party. They are traditionally known as the Labor Party. So they're very focused on an average worker. So they advocate for unions in job situations. They are, again, very focused on social programs. So they want to make sure that everyone has housing and everyone has childcare and everyone has really good health care and that everyone's kind of equal again. So they're a more left-leaning party. And then there's the Green Party, who everyone sort of thinks by their name green that they're very environmental, and that's true. They are very concerned about the environment and the policies that we have around the environment here. But they're also more of a left-leaning party. So they are, again, concerned about what the citizens have for things like childcare and healthcare. They are advocates of free university tuition for everyone. They would like to see everyone have free university tuition. Pharmacare, so medications for free. They have a lot of social programs that they're working towards as well. And they have a lot of plans for how to make that responsible with the money part of things, because as soon as you start giving the population a whole bunch of things, that costs money. So the way they want to make their money is to tax the major corporations, and especially the ones that pollute.
Okay, so currently the party which has the power is the
Liberal Party, yeah.
Okay. How much money do these parties receive from government for their political campaigns?
So the way it works is the government provides money for every vote that they get in an election. So if you vote for the Liberal Party, you are basically allowing the government to donate back a certain amount of money to the Liberal Party to help run their campaigns. Most of the money that the parties use for their campaigns, though, comes from private donations. So they get donations from companies and unions and lots of people. So yeah, a lot of it is just donated to them, given to them, not by the government.
So the government don't have a amount of money to give them.
So they do, but it's a small amount. So for every person that votes for them, so if there's 39 million people in Canada, and probably only half of those vote, so let's say there's 15 million votes that are cast, and let's say 5 million of those are cast for the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party gets something like 80 cents for each vote cast, so they get, like, instead of getting 5 million, they make it $4 million or something to help run their parties and their campaigns.
Okay, and they have to say in what things they spend the money?
Yeah, it has to be very transparent. So that's a public record thing. So anyone can look up where the money came from, so who gave them money and how they used that money. Anyone can have that information. It's public record. There's lots of laws that make it very, very public.
Yeah, because in my country it's a little
different. Yeah.
Because the government have a amount of money established.
Yeah.
And they can't spend
any more
wherever
than
they
that.
want.
So I actually think there's a limit. I think there is a limit to how much they can actually spend. I'm not sure what that limit is, but very few parties ever reach that limit. Because it's seen as very wasteful in Canada. People have a very negative opinion of the parties spending lots and lots of money on campaigning. They sort of call it buying votes. So people are very worried about that here. And so I don't think they spend as much money as maybe they could. They probably could spend more, but I think they spend less to try to look like they're not buying votes or they're not overspending on their campaign.
Okay. How is the structure organized in the Canadian government?
So in the Canadian government, we have our traditional head of state, our figurative head of state, which is the Queen, because we're still a colony, technically a British colony. And then we have the Governor General, who is the representative from the Prime Minister to the Queen. So every time the Prime Minister decides something, the Governor General takes that information to the Queen, and the Queen says, sure, that's fine. But that's all she does. And she doesn't ever say no. For some reason, she only ever says yes. So then there's the Governor General, and then there's the Prime Minister, and then there's the Prime Minister is the leader of the official party that's in power. And then there's the leader of the opposition party. So there are sort of two sides to the Canadian Parliament. There's the ruling party and the one that is, has the next most votes. And then there are the extras, and they make up the opposition to the major party. And then those are the people who decide, what the laws should be. And then all that information goes to another government body called the Senate, whose members are not elected, they are appointed. So the government that is in power appoints members to the Senate, and the Senate gives final approval to all the policies and laws.
Okay. How is the structure organized in the city of Waterloo government?
So the city of Waterloo is kind of an interesting example. The city of Waterloo is part of the region of Waterloo. And so the city of Waterloo has a mayor, and they have some councillors, some representatives for different areas of Waterloo. But then all of those people sit on a council for the region of Waterloo, which includes Kitchener, Cambridge, and Waterloo, as well as the outlying areas, the countryside sort of areas around there. And they all kind of sit on a government together as well. But Waterloo, the city of Waterloo does make its own decisions for its own city. So it's just a mayor and elected councillors.
Okay. How do the people participate when decisions are made here in Waterloo?
So anyone can go to the city council meetings and speak. You just have to tell them that you want to speak. So if there's something happening in your neighborhood, maybe your road needs to be fixed, or I'm just trying to think of some other things that the city would deal with. So infrastructure, things like roads, or maybe there is like a fence in your neighborhood that is, you know, that is in the way in some way, or they want something changed that way. Then you can go and you can speak to the county council, or the city council, and they will talk about and debate what you've brought up, and then they will make decisions based on your information.
Okay, so the place where is the consulate is City Hall?
Yeah,
Kitchener?
yeah. Well, that's where the region is, and then there's offices there for Waterloo as well. So, yeah.
So, bueno, Diego, well, thank you, and that's all for this interview.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And see you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.